Hello everyone, it's Sinead from thesimplemama.com, and today we're going to talk about homeschool burnout. I think that if you're a homeschooler, then you're going to experience or you have experienced homeschool burnout. And in this video, I'm going to give you some strategies and mindsets to fix homeschool burnout if you do get burnt out, but also how to prevent it in the future and how that you can maintain a structured, organized homeschool life without being a routine Nazi either, and the ways that I can prevent homeschool burnout from occurring to me even when I have young children. So we're going to talk about that today, and let's get into it. The difficult thing about homeschool burnout is that you have to try and fix your state of mind, which it usually is, as well as your environment, and try and rest and try and come to terms with essentially feeling not into it, and that's very dissatisfying. You don't want to admit to yourself that at the moment you don't want to homeschool, you don't want to be here, you don't want to take part in this, and to be able to recognize that and then be able to fix it while still living your life. You're still cooking and cleaning and caring for children and doing outside errands, and that wheel keeps turning, and you're trying to get yourself into a good place, but you can't necessarily, as a mother and as a homeschooler, just go, all right, I'm out of here, and walk back a week later all refreshed, and that doesn't happen. You have to fix yourself while continuing daily life, and I think that that is one of the biggest hurdles when it comes to burnout in homeschooling, because while one of my fixes is to take a break, if homeschool burnout is happening often to you, then taking a break is not going to cut it. You need to find some better strategies. Obviously, something that you are doing in your daily life, in your daily routine, which may not even be related to homeschooling, isn't working for you. And you need to rethink your environment, your mindset, your expectations, and your capabilities. If you can't rethink those four things, then you are going to be stuck on that hamster wheel of burnout, of burning out, of trying to get through it, of hoping for more motivation, having school holidays, getting motivation for a little while, going right back into your old routine, and burning out very quickly again. If that is you, then you definitely need to be re-examining your lifestyle and your homeschool lifestyle, your homeschool schedule, as well as your environment and your mindsets, because they are obviously not aligning with your capabilities. And that is the problem with homeschool burnout. Burnout can come from two sides. It can come from just being like I am now, pregnant, tired, it's the middle of winter, the days are short and cold, and you just don't feel that great. It's just, I feel like you can get burnt out just from outside things that just make you feel a bit down and a bit lull and that's normal. And to take a few days off, or to just reinvent your schooling for a week or so, just relax, maybe try and get some more sleep, or do something that you find fun with your children a little bit more often, that can get you out of that slump. That's a fairly normal sort of burnout, and I wouldn't really call it burnout. It's just we all go up and down in our moods, and homeschooling can definitely take part in that. Now, the other side of homeschool burnout is when you're burning out and you are essentially creating your own storm. And that's the other side. That's when you are either spending too much time homeschooling so that you're unable to take care of the other very important aspects of your life, like keeping a clean home, cooking good food, spending time with your husband and with your children, spending time as a family, getting enough sleep, getting exercise, just having some time to yourself. These are all crucial elements of motherhood, and they slide right into homeschooling because they fit into your homeschooling. They affect your homeschooling. Your outside environment, away from that homeschool desk or table or wherever you're doing it, that is homeschooling. You have to think of it as that because it's always around you. You're always aware of it. And if you're bringing luggage from that outside environment into your homeschool environment, you are going to be distracted, and eventually that's going to lead to burnout because you're going to try and merge those two aspects. And while I mean that, yes, your outside environment is very much in the homeschooling aspect, what you actually want to try and do is achieve time, even if it's just time in your mind, which is a lot harder than physical time, to just homeschool. And so when you are having a hectic life and you're not on top of things and you're overwhelmed in other aspects of your life, that is going to affect your homeschooling, leading almost always to homeschool burnout. So way to tell if you're burnt out with homeschooling. If you were thinking, well, am I burnt out? Am I just a bit down? Is it just a bad day? Is one, it's more than a bad day. It's not just one off day and you can go, oh, I'm burnt out. No. If you got one bad day, I think most of us know as homeschoolers, that's perfectly normal. You can have good days and bad days. Some days you enjoy every minute of it and you're into it and it goes quickly and everyone's happy. Other days just don't sit right. You're either in a bad place, you didn't get enough sleep, the kids aren't behaving, someone's sick. There's always something that can make your day not as great as good days. Normal, not burnt out. Burning out is when you are constantly not wanting to show up to the homeschool table, when the idea of homeschooling just fills you with dread, when you struggle to let go of the stress of your daily life and come and sit and homeschool because you have something stressful going on, whether it's just your house isn't clean, whether it is that you feel like you have too much to do, you're overwhelmed, or it can sometimes be you have an outside stress which you cannot help, you cannot fix right now. If that's the case, then you just might have to take a break or scale down your workload until that outside stress has been dealt with. Other signs of burnout is that you're constantly distracted. You're realizing too that you're letting your children's workload lapse. You're not checking work. Things are getting missed. You're missing time reading aloud. You're just really starting to just sort of, things are falling out of the cart, the road's getting bumpy and you're seeing a trail of all these things that you're missing. And not only does that mean that you're probably burnt out, but that makes you feel even worse because you're realizing that you're not getting to everywhere that you want to be and that you should be, and you're burnt out. So if you feel that way, and I have felt that way in the past, here's what to do. Here's how to fix it. The first thing is obvious, and that is take a break. If you're really burnt out and you have been for some time and you have tried to fix it and you can't, and you're trying to just get yourself back into some semblance of just slightly enjoying homeschooling again, take a break. The reason why I really stress to take a break is because, especially I think if you're doing teenagers or young children, they are going to eventually also get burnt out because they're going to sense your mood. They're going to realize that you get a bit down every homeschool, or maybe the days in general you're stressed. Maybe your temper is a little shorter now. Maybe no one's getting enough sleep, or maybe everyone's noticing that you're just tired and you're overwhelmed, and it's going to seep through. If you continue and try and trudge on for weeks because you're waiting for the next school holidays, or you're waiting for the next bout of motivation to try hopefully appear, that is going to affect your children's confidence. It's going to affect their homeschooling, and it's just going to affect your whole daily life. Take a break, and I would say at least 2 weeks. If you take off 1 week, I find that 1 week is enough to rest. 1 week goes like that, especially if you have multiple children, and that's enough time to rest. If you take off 2 weeks, you'll have a week to rest and a week to reassess. And because you've had your rest, and because you are hopefully, working on just trying to relax, then you've got that week, the second week, to reassess. And reassessing is definitely the next step in fixing your homeschool burnout, because your homeschool burnout did not appear from nowhere, especially if it is really intense and if you are just really struggling with every aspect of homeschooling. You're homeschooling too much, you're homeschooling too long, you're homeschooling with a lot of children, you're taking a lot of outside errands, your house is dirty, you're not getting enough sleep, you're just generally stressed out all the time. These things are going to need reassessing, because if you're just going to take up the same workloads, the same amount of days, teaching the same way, teaching the same thing, if you're not capable of taking on that workload that got you burnt out in the first place, then don't go taking it on again thinking that this time it'll all be better. It won't. You'll just get burnt out again. So you need to think about ways that you can try and reassess your homeschooling and your environment in your home and your mindsets, and take those 3 things and fit them into what you're capable of. If you have expectations with your homeschooling right now that you're not capable of, then you're going to get burnt out. So what you need to first do is say, knowing that I've just been burnt out, knowing that I'm overwhelmed in other areas of my life, whether it be managing your home or even training your children, spending time with your husband, are you changing jobs? Are you moving house? Are you having a baby? Are you sick, or is someone sick in your family? Is something changed? You need to be able to go, what am I capable of now with my homeschooling? And what can I remain capable of for the long term and manage my home and my life? That is crucial. Don't go and plan to go back into homeschooling because you feel good and not assess what your capabilities are. So another thing that you can do as well, which I think that most homeschoolers can afford to do, is to teach less. I am a minimalist homeschooler. The reason why I have chosen this lifestyle and I have chosen to be a minimalist homeschooler is not because I just liked it and pointed at it and decided to go that way. It was because I started homeschooling the traditional way, with all the subjects and art and creativity and going out and doing all these things, and I wasn't capable of it long term. Not when I was nursing babies and pregnant and chasing toddlers. I was not capable of that long term. So what I had to do was I had to take what I was capable of and realign my expectations with that. And that turned into minimalist homeschooling. If you're like me and you're in a stage of homeschooling young children and you have toddlers and babies, then I highly suggest minimalist homeschooling. I have multiple videos on that, which I will link below, on why I do it, how I do it, the curriculum I use to do it. If you're interested, watch those. Otherwise, yes, that's another point. That's point number 3. The first one is take a rest. The second one is reassess. The third one is teach less. This goes with reassessing your capabilities. Can you maintain more? If you can't, then just teach less. If you are not comfortable with culling your workload like I have, then you can loop schedule. So you can do 2 or 3 subjects one day and 2 and 3 subjects the next day and just loop them over and over again. That's a good way to cull your time, but not necessarily cull what your children are doing week to week. And just remember that if you're being consistent for a whole year and not getting burnt out, then that's better than trying to heap more than you're capable of into a term, not really succeeding it to high standards, but just feeling okay that your kids at least hit multiple subjects. The beneficial way is to be consistent with less and hit high standards. When you're teaching your kids, that is the way that they're going to learn better and retain, and it's just going to pay off for you in the long run. When you are reassessing your homeschooling and your capabilities, one really important thing, which I think, and I have mentioned this in previous videos, is that you should know your why. When you are feeling overwhelmed, even if it's just a bad day or if you are taking a break because you are burnt out in your homeschooling, then know your why. Why are you homeschooling your children? Have it somewhere written down where you're going to see it every day, or just write it down again and refresh your mind, because this is going to keep you on the path of doing what you're capable of consistently. And that is going to benefit your children greatly. Knowing your why is going to bring you back down to the ground on what made you choose this, because often, if not for like 98% of homeschoolers, our why is very personal. Our why is because I believe that I can deliver a quality education that aligns with either your beliefs or it aligns with your values, it aligns with the lifestyle that you want, and that if you were chasing that when you first started homeschooling, before you chose curriculums, before you looked into all the different styles, and before you became overwhelmed or you've grown and had multiple children, now you're homeschooling, knowing why you started this in the first place, knowing the reasons why you decided to choose this path is going to mean that when you're burnt out and when you're feeling overwhelmed and when you're feeling like you're not capable of doing this, go back to your why, and it will reassure you that your reasons for doing this and taking this on are greater than just feeling a bit down for a while or feeling burnt out. And it will also make you okay with teaching less, because often we teach more than we can because we feel that we have to. But if you understand the real reason why you're doing this, and that you as the mother, as the homeschooler, as the parent, you are the only one who can deliver the values, the beliefs, the lifestyle, and the childhood that you want your children to have, and homeschooling is a part of that, then that's going to make you okay with doing what you can and not what you feel you have to do. So acknowledging this in your burnout, acknowledging this when you're resting, when you're reassessing, when you're figuring out what are your capabilities, really try and understand your why, because it will ground you. Are you overwhelmed somewhere else? Often when you're homeschooling and you're burnt out, it can, for me definitely, it's usually when I've had a change of season. Husband can be changing jobs, you can be moving house, you can have something stressful going on the outside, or maybe you've just had too much clutter build up and you're struggling to maintain the cleanliness and the order of your home that you're spending all your days in, all your hours in, and that's affecting your mindset. So assess your environment. Write down and understand and come to terms with things in your environment that you can't change, because that's going to affect your capabilities. So that's step one. Understand what you can't change. But then also, just as importantly, understand what you can change. If you have areas in your life where you're feeling overwhelmed, even if it's just meal times or getting out of the house on time or having a certain area of your home clean, those can be overwhelming when we're dealing with the same problems every day. And so if there are areas that you can try and incorporate systems or change or just getting rid of something that can help you from feeling that overwhelm in your everyday life, that is going to affect your homeschooling and your mindset. This leads me to my next step: do a screen detox. I think that it is, our mothers and grandmothers who homeschooled didn't necessarily deal with the screen bombardment that we have these days. Screens are huge. We need them, we use them, and for most of us, we have social media. I can tell that whenever I have Instagram and Facebook on my phone, I very quickly get addicted to my screen, which is, I could say, is like a little embarrassing to say, but I'm going to be real here and say yes. I get addicted very easily. And the detox, when I actually go, right, I'm deleting everything. I don't have YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. And once I don't have those three things, there isn't much that I go to my phone for. But in those few days after I have deleted those things, I will realize how many times I pick up my phone and go to stare at it and go, oh, I'm not having anything on there, put it back down. But it makes me think, hang on, if Instagram and my social media platforms were on there, how long would I have spent on my phone instead of putting it down, walking away, and finding something else much more important to do? You can be distracted, very distracted by your phone. And so that's something that you can try. The next step is form a block schedule around your homeschooling. Now, I have all posts on block scheduling. I will link them down below. And I use a glass ball versus a plastic ball sort of example. Glass balls are something that I do without distraction. They don't get missed each day, and they're not, if they drop, they smash. If they drop, then I know that I cannot maintain more than one sort of smashed glass ball in a day for more than a week, because things are going to go downhill. My plastic balls are things that I can do and I cannot do. So if I drop them, they're all right. Homeschooling, definitely a glass ball priority. When you have a glass ball priority, it means that you want to have no distractions. But the real reason why you want to block your homeschooling is my next point, and that is never come to the homeschool room, table, desk, wherever you homeschool with a distraction. This can be a phone, it can be your laptop, it can be a notebook, it can be a diary that you're not using to record homeschooling, it can be shopping lists, it can be just doing a to-do list. if you're homeschooling young children, if you are having to be quite hands-on, don't think that you can multitask. Homeschooling is not the place to multitask. What happens 9 times out of 10 is that if you come to the school table with something that you would like to get done during that school time, then school's going to distract you from that and you're not going to feel good. And if you maintain that routine daily, then you are going to feel very overwhelmed. You're going to feel like you're not getting what you want done, even though you should be completely pretty much owned by your children during that homeschool hour, at least. So you cannot afford to bring a distraction. I never do. I never bring my laptop or my phone or bring my my work diary or anything like that. It always stays behind. I make a proper like mental block in my mind to say this is school time and nothing else. And that is really important. And that is why you want to create that block schedule, because that's going to help you go in that block. That's my homeschooling block. Nothing creeps into that block. I turn my phone off. I don't do anything. I don't check emails. I don't do anything at all. I am a homeschooler in that hour. That is crucial, and maintain that habit. Not only will it fix your burnout, it is a very important point in preventing burnout. I have a post on this again, and that is train your kids for the homeschool block. If you're like me and you're teaching young children, and I'm teaching young boys, so they can automatically be just fidgety, I think there's a dropped pencil at least 22 times in each school hour. But I also have young children. I have a toddler and a 4-year-old, and before that I had a baby and a toddler, and I'm about to have a baby and a toddler and a 4-year-old again. And so you want to be able to train your kids, especially your little ones who aren't homeschooling, to behave during that homeschool hour. And it takes consistency, and it takes commitment. You have to be committed to that, but the payoff is huge. It's a few weeks of consistency and commitment, and then set a standard, stick to the standard, and for the rest of the year, you're going to have a homeschool block that is functional and stress-free. That is crucial. So you cannot expect to have a good, effective homeschooling block in your day and just have your toddlers and 4-year-olds and 3-year-olds just be going mad in either where you can hear them, or knowing in the back of your mind that they're trashing somewhere, or they don't stop nagging you, they don't stop making noise at the table, they're constantly wanting to take part even though they're quite, they're a hindrance to the children who are trying to learn. You have to be in control of that. If you want a good environment, you have to make a good environment, and having little children is no excuse to not have a good, stress-free, quiet homeschool environment. And so you can read that post, and I will also be doing a future video on how to train your kids to behave during homeschooling. The thing that I do is a 4-day school week. So not only am I minimalist and I'm only doing an hour and a half a day, I only do 4 days a week. And the reason why I do this is because I have small children, and to maintain a clean home, a garden, and then I need to do a 4-day school week. It's just what I need to do right now. I know that I'm capable long term of a 4-day school week. Do what you have to do as your seasons change in order to get you through it. And for me, a 4-day school week works well. Another thing which is really important to do is to connect with your children. And I know that, it's like, well, I am connected to them. I'm their mom and all this. What I'm saying is that life is busy, and if you're burnt out, then most likely you're quite stressed. And if you're overwhelmed in other areas of your life, then what's going to happen is that you are probably not the best person to be around right now for your kids. And it takes some brutal honesty and some self-assessment to be able to say that. But I know from my own self that when I'm overwhelmed and tired and stressed and burnt out in homeschooling, then I'm not very nice to be around. I am not cheery and happy and joyful and smiley and giving them encouragement and confidence. I'm struggling with that with myself. And it means that even if you're not quite burnt out yet, it's a way that I fix burnout, and it's a way that I prevent burnout. I make a cake, or make a pot of tea, or hot chocolate, make yourself a snack or a meal, sit down with your children and listen to them. Don't talk to them. Listen to them. Start a conversation and then just listen. Listen to what they have to say. Smile at them. Listen to them. Talk about something that they're interested in. This is going to create that connection. And the more effort you put into creating that connection with your children, the happier you actually feel. So don't feel that you have to sit down and chat to them. Just sit down, sip a cup of tea, and just go, so what do you want to talk about? And they're young kids, they will talk. So allow that connection, allow them to feel good around you, allow that space that was for homeschooling. If you feel like it is more fruitful for you to connect with your children and just spend some time with them that day to either prevent yourself from getting worse if you feel like you're on that path, or if you're already burnt out and you're wanting to fix and reconnect, then make this step. It's not hard. You don't have to be fancy. Right now, my boys love to play cards, so we cleaned up, we sat down, we played different card games, and that was a way for us to connect and to just keep joy in your day, because the days are long and stressful, and while you can be around your kids and serving them meals and talking to them and telling them what to do, or doing chore time, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're taking the time to listen to your children. And if you're going well, then that will naturally occur during homeschooling or during meal times. But if you're feeling overwhelmed, then that is going to be cut short because you're not necessarily as open as usual to your children. This is normal. This is not something you have to be ashamed of. It's normal life. And so acknowledging that and realizing that you need to take some time to connect is crucial, and you should take the time to do that. If you like this video, please like it, because it helps me to reach other homeschoolers who might need to watch it. So that would be a huge appreciative bow if you like this video. And that's what I do for homeschool burnout. That's how I fix it, how I prevent it. I have a blog post on it. I will link that down below. And all the blog posts that I talked about and the videos that I talked about will all be down below. If you are interested in sticking around and learning more, then you can subscribe. And so until next time, bye.